Have you ever been in one of those situations where a friend starts to embarrass themselves? Maybe they had a little too much to drink. Maybe they said something they shouldn't have said. Maybe they just seem to be having a hard time keeping it all together. And you have to kind of gently cajole them into taking a little break. We've all been there at some point. And right now, that is exactly what it must feel like for MAGA Republicans trying to deal with Donald Trump and the war in Iran he started. Here was longtime Trump supporter and MAGA darling Bill O'Reilly on his podcast just yesterday.
So my advice to Donald Trump is to take the next month off if you can. Get into an environment where you like golf and relax a little bit. You got to deal with Iran. I understand that. Everybody understands it. But you can do that on the phone, and you can do that with your people coming, but need a breather.
You need a breather, Trump. Don't you worry about all that business of governing. Go relax. Play some golf. Now, was Bill O'Reilly making that suggestion because he is genuinely concerned Trump is not okay? Maybe. Was he making it because he thinks this disastrous war will be easier to bring to an end if Trump isn't sitting in the Oval Office every day? Possibly. Or a combination of the two. It's really hard to know. But regardless of the reason, there's no question it's a bad sign for Trump that one of his biggest supporters is telling him to just take a month off from his duties as president of the United States. But that is where we are at this point, amidst the growing backlash to Trump's war in Iran. And the thing is, Bill O'Reilly may have actually been speaking for a much larger swath of Trump supporters. A new Politico poll out today finds that the number of self-identified MAGA supporters who think Trump's war is worth the economic costs has dropped 13% in just the last 2 months. And a majority of MAGA supporters, 57%, blame Trump's war for the high cost of gas. And we're seeing that same sentiment on the ground in key battleground states. Our very own MS Now's Alex Tabbitt recently spoke with several three-time Trump voters at a gas station in North Carolina about Trump's war in Iran. Here's what they had to say.
This war has been it's been taxing on everyone, and I'm on a fixed income, and so it's other ones that on fixed income are, I'm really feeling it.
You could talk directly to the president. We know he likes to watch TV. What would you tell him about this war?
President Trump, you shouldn't have got us in this war and was going to end it fast, soon, and now you're starting all over again.
Has the war helped your life at all?
No. For one thing, it causes me angst. Makes me angry. And as I said, I'm very disillusioned. My entire family is disillusioned. And we are and were Trump supporters, but this is, to me, he's drawn a line in the sand. And that's how I feel. That's how we all feel.
That's how we all feel. Again, those were three-time Trump voters. Donald Trump is losing support for this war, even among his core base. But if you ask the president, he says everybody loves the war. Here he was just this morning making that very same claim again.
Well, Americans aren't against the war. A poll just came out. Americans don't want high gasoline prices, but they're not against the war. That just came out loud and clear in a poll.
Trump says Americans aren't against the war. That's what he claims. He says that just came out loud and clear in a poll. That's what he just said. But here's the latest Washington Post Ipsos poll on support for Trump's war. It finds that more than 2/3 of the country, 68%, do not think Trump's war is worth fighting. Only 28% of Americans think this war is worth it. Donald Trump is obviously in a bind. He started a war without a clear objective and with no clear plans for ending it. And so here we are, 145 days into that war, and the president is once again going back to his same bag of tricks of making big, sweeping threats. This morning, he issued a new threat to Iran, saying from this point forward, anytime the Islamic Republic of Iran shoots at a ship in the Strait of Hormuz, whether it be by missile, rocket, drone, or any other device or weapon, the United States will bomb and destroy one bridge or power plant, including those located next to or in the capital city of Tehran. Now, to be clear, that's the president threatening to commit potential war crimes by targeting civilian infrastructure, which would be very big news if this was the first time we heard Trump make exactly that kind of a threat. But it's not. And on top of that, there are other signs that Trump may be feeling cornered and quite desperate. Because today, the Trump administration announced an agreement to provide the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia with its own civilian nuclear program. And that's something that the Saudis have wanted for years. And while it has been on the table in the past and under discussion, including the Biden administration, the United States has always wanted a concession for that in return for agreeing to it. Now, we don't know what, if any, concessions Trump may have extracted from the Saudis in exchange. And let's be honest, it's Donald Trump. So there's always a possibility that this is about enriching himself and his family, which certainly the Saudis have done plenty of. But at the same time, knowing that Saudi Arabia was a key partner at the start of Trump's war, and we also know that their support for the war has waned in recent months, leading to clashes between Trump and the Saudi crown prince. And now, all of a sudden, Trump is offering the Saudis a major gift. And you have to wonder if that is Trump's way of trying to salvage his fracturing coalition in this increasingly unpopular war, all while increasing the potential for increased nuclear volatility in the Middle East. Because if Saudi Arabia has a civilian nuclear program, other countries in the region are going to want one too. And is that the kind of step that is going to de-escalate the war that is already underway with Iran? The answer to that is no. Just tonight, for the 12th day in a row, the U.S. launched more strikes against Iran. Trump knows this war is a liability for him, but he doesn't know how to get out of it, and he doesn't know how to maintain support for it. And he is doing nothing to help himself on that front. I mean, just yesterday, he posted this chart you can see on your screen to his social media account, comparing the American death toll from his war to other major conflicts, seemingly in an effort to minimize the loss of those fallen service members. And he did that full well knowing that this morning he was going to attend the dignified transfer for 4 more service members who have now lost their lives because of this war. Then just today, Trump held a rally in the critical swing state of Georgia, and even in front of a crowd of some of his most enthusiastic supporters, he went into some version of delusional spin mode.
I call it a skirmish. This is with this skirmish we have with the Islamic Republic of Iran, and I call it that because, let me tell you, they're getting hit so hard, and they want to make a deal. But I say they're not ready to make a deal, because every time they make a deal, they want to change it and everything. They're not ready. They'll be ready very soon. We don't need straits. We don't need anything. We don't need the Hormuz Strait, but we do it because we have to do it.
Trump says we don't need the Strait of Hormuz or the Hormuz Strait or whatever he just called it, even as gas prices continue to rise. He says Iran wants to make a deal, even though he was saying the exact opposite just 2 weeks ago when he walked away from the negotiating table. He's on the stump in a state Republicans desperately need to win this November, and all he can muster are the same tired lines that didn't convince anyone before and aren't going to convince anyone now. Maybe he should start listening to his own crumbling echo chamber and, as Bill O'Reilly says, just take a breather.